Last hour, £5 billion Tottenham takeover talks heat up. Rival fans terrified, and they have every reason to be. Welcome back to Tottenham News Today channel. The sudden departure of Daniel Levy of Tottenham continues to dominate the footballing landscape in England. What first appeared to be a carefully managed transition has now taken on an entirely different tone, with several insiders suggesting that Levy's exit is directly linked to long-brewing takeover negotiations. According to Fabrizio Romano, the move may be tied to Saudi interest in acquiring Spurs, a development that has immediately raised eyebrows across the Premier League. If true, this would not simply mark the end of Levy's controversial reign, but the start of something far bigger, a seismic ownership change that could propel Tottenham into a completely new stratosphere. Adding further weight to this speculation, Alasdair Gold has reiterated that Enic, the ownership group led by the Lewis family, are indeed open to selling the club. Their price? A staggering £5 billion. That figure would eclipse the £4.25 billion paid by Todd Boehly and his consortium to take control of Chelsea in 2022, placing Spurs among the very highest valued clubs in global football. With such a valuation, the question naturally arises: who could realistically make such a move? And perhaps more crucially, what would it mean for the competitive balance of English football if Spurs became the next super club to receive a cash injection from one of the world's financial giants? One of the names most prominently linked is QSI Sports, backed by Qatari wealth, with Amanda Staveley reportedly playing a pivotal role in pushing for a deal. Staveley, already well known for her involvement in the Saudi-led Newcastle takeover, is said to be pressuring Qatari investors to table an offer in the region of £5 billion. Intriguingly, Amanda Staveley's connections extend beyond Qatar, as she is also thought to have links to American private equity groups, further widening the range of possibilities surrounding Tottenham's ownership future. Could it be that Spurs are simultaneously at the centre of competing bids from Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds and American corporate giants? Yet the intrigue does not stop there. A report from The Telegraph's Matt Law revealed a dramatic twist behind the scenes. Daniel Levy himself apparently did not know he was being pushed out until minutes before the club's official statement was released. If true, this revelation suggests that Enic's decision-making has been ruthlessly calculated, with takeover plans advancing much further than had previously been assumed. For a man who embodied Tottenham's modern identity, admired by some for his financial acumen, loathed by others for perceived caution in the transfer market, such an abrupt exit only reinforces the sense that a decisive break with the past is already underway. The stakes could not be higher. A Saudi-led move would require Newcastle to be sold first, a complication that casts doubt on whether such a takeover could materialise quickly. Qatar, by contrast, could move more decisively, especially with Staveley in the mix. Meanwhile, the strong whispers from the corridors of the Premier League point towards American investment groups as serious contenders. Tottenham's world-class stadium, vast matchday revenues, and prime London location make the club one of the most attractive opportunities anywhere in global sport. One thing, however, is beyond debate. Tottenham are heading into a new era. Levy's departure is more than a change of personnel. It signals a transformation in direction. Rival fan bases sense it too, with growing anxiety that Spurs, long derided for near misses and missed opportunities, may finally be positioning themselves to join the elite tier of European football. For Tottenham supporters, it is a moment of uncertainty mixed with excitement. For their rivals, it could be the beginning of their worst fears. North London, it seems, is on the verge of being reshaped forever. Tottenham are once again being linked with a move for Real Madrid winger Rodrigo, and this time the circumstances may finally align for the club to make such a statement signing. For years, Spurs have been accused of lacking the financial muscle or willingness to truly compete for world-class talent, but whispers from inside the club suggest that tide could be turning. Rodrigo is a name that needs little introduction. The Brazilian international has already established himself as one of the most exciting young attacking players in Europe. Quick, skillful, and with a sharp eye for goal, he has played a vital role in Madrid's recent successes, despite operating in a squad overflowing with attacking brilliance. At just 23 years old, he still has his best years ahead of him, and his potential to grow into a global superstar is clear for all to see. During the last summer transfer window, Tottenham reportedly made a serious attempt to bring Rodrigo to North London, tabling an offer in the region of £87 million. At the time, the figure underlined their interest, but it wasn't enough. Not because of the fee itself, but because of the wage demands attached to any potential deal. Rodrigo is believed to be commanding around £350,000 per week, a level Tottenham simply weren't prepared to reach. This has long been the stumbling block for Spurs. Infrastructure investments have been world-class, with the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and training ground recognised as among the best in world football. Yet, when it comes to salaries, the club's strict wage structure has repeatedly been criticised as a barrier to recruiting elite players. Many fans have voiced frustration that Tottenham could identify targets but failed to close deals because the financial package wasn't competitive. However, new reports suggest things may be about to change. Football Insider claim that Spurs are now ready to increase their wage budget significantly, a move that would represent a dramatic shift in policy. If true, this could place the club in a position to realistically compete for talents like Rodrigo players who, under previous regimes, might have been deemed too expensive. Breaking the wage ceiling is not a small step. It signals ambition, intent, and the recognition that competing at the very top of the Premier League requires more than just facilities. It requires attracting and keeping players who can make the difference on the pitch. For Tottenham, a signing of Rodrigo's calibre would not just be about adding quality to the squad, it would be about sending a message to the footballing world that they are serious about becoming a genuine superpower. And here lies the twist. All of this new ambition coincides with a seismic change at the very top of the club. Earlier this week, Tottenham confirmed that Daniel Levy would be stepping down after more than 20 years as chairman. For an entire generation of supporters, Levy's presence was all they had ever known, his cautious and calculated approach defining the club's financial strategy. Many blamed his reluctance to push the wage boundaries as the reason Spurs repeatedly missed out on top-level players. Now, with Levy gone, Tottenham appear to be entering a new era. Whether Rodrigo becomes the symbol of that change remains to be seen, but the conditions are there. Spurs are prepared to raise their wage budget, Real Madrid face constant challenges in balancing their attacking options, and a world-class talent may soon find himself tempted by the project in North London. Spurs have finally clarified their stance on Ademola Lookman after weeks of speculation linking the Atalanta forward with a move to North London. The Nigerian international had emerged as one of the more intriguing names on Spurs' radar in the closing stages of the most recent transfer window. But despite serious discussions, a deal ultimately failed to materialise. The summer deadline day was one of mixed emotions for Tottenham supporters. On the one hand, the club succeeded in securing Randall Kolo Muani on loan from PSG, ensuring at least one high-profile reinforcement arrived before the window shut. On the other hand, frustration lingered over what could have been, with multiple reports suggesting that the club had several negotiations close to completion yet fell short in the final hours. Among the missed opportunities, Lookman stood out as perhaps the most significant. The 26-year-old forward has enjoyed a remarkable resurgence in his career since joining Atalanta, quickly becoming one of the most dangerous attacking players in Serie A. His tally of 20 goals last season highlighted not only his finishing ability, but also his consistency in performing at the highest level of Italian football. That form inevitably caught the attention of Europe's biggest clubs, with Bayern Munich also known to have tracked his progress closely. Tottenham, however, found themselves in a difficult position during negotiations. Atalanta, conscious of Lookman's rising stock and importance to their project, were determined to sanction only a permanent transfer. Spurs, meanwhile, were exploring the possibility of a loan, with an option to buy a structure that would have allowed them to test the waters without committing to a sizable fee up front. The Italian side's refusal to compromise meant talks stalled, and the move collapsed before it could gather serious momentum. Now, according to a report from Givmesport, Tottenham have decided against reigniting their pursuit of Lookman in the January transfer window. Despite holding long-standing admiration for the player, the club's leadership has concluded that they will not be making another approach this winter. This decision is likely to disappoint a section of the fan base who had hoped that Spurs would return with a stronger bid in the coming months. Nevertheless, the door is not entirely closed. Sources suggest that Tottenham's stance could shift if circumstances within the squad dramatically change between now and the turn of the year. A poor run of results or injuries in key attacking areas could prompt the hierarchy to reassess their position and potentially reopen discussions for Lookman. While Lookman remains one of the most sought-after forwards in European football, the Lily-Whites are content to bide their time, knowing that opportunities may arise again in the future. With his proven eye for goal and growing reputation in Serie A, it would be unwise to completely rule out the possibility of Spurs making another attempt down the line. For the moment, however, the chapter appears to be closed, at least until circumstances dictate otherwise. That's all for today's update. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date with everything Tottenham, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Don't forget to drop a like and share this video with other Spurs fans. Together we can keep growing the Tottenham News Today community. Thanks for watching, and as always, come on you Spurs!